Okay, right. Just change the device settings. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that should be working now, and it should be a bit faster. Just go to there. There we go. Okay, so can you hear me okay, James? Can you see the screen? Brilliant. Okay. Right, so the second one, this B, says it wants to rotate the circle 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. So what we would do is you have the origin here. We grab some tracing paper and you would basically trace this. Let me see if I can do that. Let me just get my rotational symmetry. Get this one. S moves to the front. Right, there we go. So we want to center it on the origin. I'm just going to make my tracing paper a little bit bigger for that. Should be okay. And we're going to have the circle. So let me get the circle. I'll center it there. Right, there we go. Now we want to rotate it 90 degrees. If I get an arrow, if I just draw an arrow in place, like that, when it's gone through 90 degrees clockwise, it will basically be the arrow starts like this, and then it goes through 90 degrees, and it's going to the right because it's clockwise, okay? So what I'm going to do is just get all of those together. And what's happening now is I'm putting my pencil on the origin, and I'm going to turn my paper 90 degrees, well, my tracing paper 90 degrees to the right, okay? I'm doing that. And then when the arrow is facing to the right, I'm done. So I can see where the circle ends up. Does that make sense? So I can see that it ends up with the center being at 2 minus 3. Okay, that's what we do. So just ask for some tracing paper, and those are quite straightforward. If it wanted it through 180, we would just do the same thing, but the arrow would be pointing down, and it would end up over there. Okay. Right, okay, so moving on from that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, moving on from that. If we look at this one now, so we want to expand the brackets, okay? So we'll do some easier ones first, okay? If I asked you to expand 2 bracket x plus 3, you would need to do 2 times x, which is 2x, and then 2 times 3, which is 6, and there's a plus in between, okay? So we'd have to do 2x plus 6. So if I wanted to expand this, I would need to do 2x times x squared first. So do you remember what 2x times x squared would be? So 2x times by x squared, we can imagine that as, I'll just draw it on the board now. If I had 2x times x squared, so let's have a look at that. 2x times x squared, so it's not quite 4x squared. That would be, 4x squared would be if you had 2 times 2x, right? So what have we got here? Yeah, 2x times x squared. Well, you've got 2, and then x times x squared is x cubed, okay? X times x squared is x cubed because x squared, if I highlight it, x squared is like x times x. So you've really got 2x times x times x. And there are 3 x's times together, so that gives you 2x cubed. Okay? So if I did say, let's imagine I did now, 4x times 2x squared. If I wanted to do that, that would be 4 times 2, which is 8, and then x times x squared is x cubed. So that would be 8x cubed. Okay? So if we go back to what they're asking us, they're saying expand the brackets. That means times everything on the inside by what we have on the outside. So we have 2x times x squared, which is 2x cubed. And then what would 2x times 5 be? So 2x times 5, what would that be? So 2x times 5 is going to be 10x. So we have 2x cubed, take away 10x. Okay? Right. So if I give you another one, James, if you have some paper, you can have a go at this one. So 3x times x squared take away 4. So if you have a go at that one on paper, and then we'll move on to B, which is changing the subject. So what we're going to have here is 3x cubed take away 12x. Okay? So if we have a look at B, we want to make B the subject, okay? So that means we want to get B on its own. Yeah, so that's pretty much exactly right. The only difference is you need to have x cubed, because when you do x times x squared, remember that gives you x with a floating 3 because it's 3 x's times together. So the only difference is it should be 3x cubed take away 12x, otherwise it's fine. So with B, we want to make B the subject, okay? So what we need to do that is take away 4, because I want to get rid of that 4 first. So I take it over the equal sign. Now, as it is on the right-hand side, it's a plus. So when it goes over the equal sign, it turns into a minus. So we get a minus 4 equals minus 3 times b. Now, if I do minus 3 times b on the right-hand side, to get the minus 3 to the other side, I need to divide by minus 3. So my final answer is a minus 4 divided by minus 3 equals b. Okay, so that's what we would have for that one. And we literally leave it like that. Because we don't know what A is, we can't give a number answer. We have to just leave it like that. So can I give you one similar to that, James? Is that okay? Okay, so I'll just get one up here. So right, so if we look here, make B the subject of this formula. Let me just go down actually. There we go. So make P the subject of this formula. So let me change that to P. Okay, so we need to make P the subject of this formula. So what could I do first? What could I move over to the left-hand side first? Move the 12 over, brilliant. So I get Q minus 12 equals minus 4 P. Now that minus 4 is times by P, so I've got minus 4 times P. Then, how would I get rid of that minus 4? Remember that I'm timesing it by P. Divide, brilliant. So I need to do Q minus 12 divided by minus 4 equals P, and that is my answer. Brilliant. Right, so if we have a look at the next one. So this one here is an inequality. So what they're after is the greatest integer value of x that satisfies that inequality, okay? So what I need to do, again, is get x on its own. That's the first thing to do. So when they say solve, what I need to do first is get x on its own. So if I imagine that this was an equal sign, so imagine I had 8x take away 4 equals 41. What could I do first to help me get x? To help me get x on its own, what could I do first? Well, we are going to divide the 8, but firstly, I need to deal with the minus 4. So how could I get the... Well, we can take the 4 over, yeah? Now, this 4 is being taken away. So when I take it over, it becomes the opposite, which is plus. So I get 8x equals 41 plus 4, which is 45. Then I'm going to do what you said earlier, and I got times by 8, so I'm going to divide by 8. So I get x equals 45 divided by 8. And then I just need to remember that that equal sign is really an inequality sign. Okay, it really means x is less than 45/8. So really, x is less than 45/8. And that's the answer to the first bit. That will get you the 2 marks. And then they're on about what is the greatest integer value. Well, integer means whole number. So what I would need to do is actually work out what 45/8 is as a fraction, as a decimal, or as a mixed number. So to do it as a mixed number, I could say 8 into 40, or I could use a bus stop, might be easier actually. If I use a bus stop, 45 divided by 8, 8 into 4 goes none, remainder 4. 8 into 45. So how many 8s will be in 45? So that, I think you're on about 56 there, because 8 into 45 goes 5. Then there's a remainder, so I put my decimal in now because I've reached the end of the number, and a 0. 8 into 45 goes 5 with a remainder of 5. 8 into 50 goes 6 with a remainder 2. 8 into 20 goes 2 with a remainder 4. Then 8 into 40 goes 5. So x is less than 5.625. Now, the reason I've done that is because they want the greatest whole number of x that will work here. Now, I know x is less than 5.625, okay? So if I imagine a number line, right, like this, there's 5, there's 6. 5.625 is way up here, okay? It's like that. That is 5.625. Now, x is less than that because it's being pointed at by the 5.625. So if x is less than that, it's going to be to the left of it. If I went from the left of this line, what would be the first whole number that I would run into? 5, exactly. So that means the greatest whole number that satisfies the inequality is 5. So my final answer for 2 would be 5. Okay, so I'm going to put a similar one up on the board, which we can try on paper. So let me get this one up. Greater than, oh, here we go. There we go. So we have this one. So we want to solve this inequality. So we have 8x plus 4 is less than 45. So if I think of it as an equation, you've got 8x plus 4 equals 45. So what could I do first to help me solve that equation? I want to get x on its own. What can I do first? So we get 8x equals 45 take away 4. So 8x is just equal to 41. Brilliant. And then what could I do then to get x on its own? Divide by the 8. Brilliant. So I get x equals 41 divided by 8. So my answer would be x is less than 41 over 8 because there's a less than sign. So x is less than 41 divided by 8. So I now need to think about it with a bus stop. So 41 divided by 8. 8 into 4 goes none, remainder 4. 8 into 41 goes 5. So 41 goes 5 with remainder of 1. 8 into 10 goes 1, remainder 2. 8 into 20 goes 2, remainder 4, and 8 into 40 goes 5. So what we're saying is x is less than 5.125. So what would be the greatest integer value of x, or whole value of x, that would work? So think x is less than 5.125. So what is the biggest whole number that x could be? So that's nearly the case. The thing is, it's less than 5.125. So number 5 is here. Yeah, it's got to be 5 because 5.125 is here. It's got to be less than that, so it's got to be 5. Brilliant. Okay, so that's inequalities. So let's have a look at the next one. So I think this next one isn't going to be in your exam, so that one can go. So we'll jump straight into the ratio. So what we want to do is share £630 in the ratio 5 to 2. So what that means is I need to think about how many parts I have, okay? So imagine I'm sharing between 2 people, so Alice and Bob, say. Because it's a ratio 5 to 2, that means that Alice has got 5 parts. Let's draw this a bit better. 3, 4, 5. And Bob has got 2 parts. Now, the amount of money they're sharing is £630. So what I want to do is work out how much one of these parts is worth. So how do you think I could work out what one of these boxes is going to be worth? So if I look at it, how many parts or how many boxes do I have? There are 7 boxes, right? So what I need to do is share 630 into 7. So that means I need to do a divide. So I've got to do 630 divided by 7, and that will give me the value of 1 box. So I would use a bus stop again. So 7 into 6 goes none, remainder 6. How many 7s are in 63? It's going to be 9. Brilliant. So we have 9, and then 7 into none goes none. So that means one of the boxes is worth £90. So if I want to share into that ratio, I can say that Alice, for example, Alice has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. So she has 5 times 90. Now to do 5 times 90, I need to do 5 times 9 and then put a 0 on. So I have 450. And Bob has got 2 parts, so that's 2 times 90. So that's 2 times 9, which is 18, and then I put a 0 on, so I have 180. Okay, so that would be my answer. My answer would basically be £450, comma, £180. Okay? Give you one which is similar to that. I've got a similar one prepared here. Let me just get it out. We've got this question here. We want to share £360 in the ratio 4 to 5. So if I imagine, right, hang on, let me just get my normal pen. Okay, that's fine. So again, I've got 4 to 5. So that means we've got 4 parts. And the other person's got 5 parts. So can you work out how much each person would get? Can you have a go at that one, please? So you've got to work out how much one part is worth, and then work out how much 4 parts and then 5 parts are worth. So 360 times 5/9. I think that's, yeah, you can do that, that's fine. So you're saying we have 5/9 here and 4/9 here. That's exactly what you can do. I mean, that's a different method, but that's fine. Well, there's 9 parts. So you could do 360 divided by 9. And that will give you 40. No, it won't. Sorry, I'll give you no, it won't. It will give you 40. That'll give you 40. So that's what one part is worth. So if you want to do 360 times 5/9, that will get it to you straight away for B. So that basically means that you're doing 40 times 5, which is 200. And for the top one, you would have to do 40 times 4, which is 160. So do you end up with 160 and 200? Yeah, that's fantastic. That's exactly what you do. Brilliant. Okay, so that's sharing in a ratio. Now, B is a bit of a weird question. This word reciprocal means 1 over. So what we're trying to do for this is do 1 over 0.25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 1 over 0.25, but I need the top and the bottom to be whole numbers. So I need to think, well, what would I times 0.25 by to get a whole number? So what number could I times 0.25 by to get a whole number? Okay, we could times it by 10. That will give us 2.5. So if I times the bottom by 10, I would have to times the top by 10. So now I've got 10 over 2.5, but I still need the bottom to be a whole number. So what could I times the bottom by to make it a whole number? Times it by 10 again. Because if I times it by 10, the decimal will go one place to the right. And if I times the bottom by 10, I need to times the top by 10. So we end up with 100 over 25. And then to see what my answer is going to be, okay, I need to do 25 into 100, okay? So 25 goes into 100, right? Let's see how many times. 25, 50, 75, 100, okay? So it goes into it 4 times. So my answer there is just 4, okay? So can I give you a similar one to that, James? Is that okay? Just remember, reciprocal, it's a bit of a weird, they don't really ask it much, but reciprocal means 1 over, okay? So it's a bit of a strange question. So calculate the value of the reciprocal of 0.3. I don't like that. I'm going to change that. 0.5, I'm going to change it to. There we go. Calculate the value of the reciprocal of 0.5. So have a go at this one. Try to simplify your answer if you can. Oh, James, sorry about that. Yeah, looks. So we've got 1 times 10 is 10. Let's have a look. So we've got 1 over 0.5. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So we have 10 over 5. So we have 10 over 5. So there were 2 5s in 10, so my final answer would just be 2. Okay, so you get 1 mark for doing the 10 over 5, like you've done, but then you've got to do the 5 into the 10. Is that okay? Brilliant, well done there, okay? Right, so let's move on. So we're near, quite close to the end, actually. So this one here, number 13, the diagram below shows an empty cylindrical tank with radius 10 and height of 400. Now, using pi equals 3.14, calculate the volume of the tank. Okay, so there are 2 things here that we've got to remember. One is the formula for volume of a prism, which they do actually give you. So they give it to you in the formula booklet like this. They've got a picture of a prism in the formula sheet, which is basically any shape where the profile of the shape, if you like, is constant. And to work out the volume, you need to work out the area of the cross-section times by the depth. So here, the cross-section is a circle. Okay, so that is the cross-section, it's just a circle. And they're telling us the radius is 10. So if I looked at it from the top, it would look like this. And what I need is the area of that circle. So do you remember how to work out the area of a circle? Well, it will add up to 360 in terms of the angles, yes. So like in terms of the angles inside, it would. But the area is pi times the radius squared. So here I need to do, they're telling us pi is 3.14. So instead of pi, I'm going to write 3.14 times by the radius squared. Well, the radius is 10, so that's 10 squared. So that's 3.14 times, now 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100. So I've got 3.14 times 100. So what is 3.14 times 100? Yeah, exactly, 314. Brilliant. So it's 314. That is the area of the cross-section. And then they're telling us that the height is 400 centimeters. So I need to do the area, which was 314, and times that by 400. So what I'm going to do is 314 times 4. So I just lost it. So I'm going to do 314 times 4, and then I'm going to stick the zeros on the end, okay? So let's have a go at that. Let's do 314 times 4. So 4 4s are 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Then I put my 0 in the units. I don't actually need to do that this time because I'm only timesing by 4, so that's my answer. It's 1256. Remember, there were the 2 zeros as well, so I have 1256 with the 2 zeros. And the units, because it's volume, are going to be centimeters cubed. Okay. Now, for B, they're talking about litres. So we need to remember how many centimetres cubed make up 1 litre? So do you remember how many centimetres cubed are in a litre? Nearly, it's really close, it's actually 1,000. So I can say 1 litre is 1,000 centimetres cubed. So to change this into litres, I need to divide it by 1,000. So the decimal, which is at the end of the number, will go back 3 places. 1, 2, 3, giving me 125.6 litres. Now, because they want the greatest number of whole litres, it's only going to be 125 because you can't, in this question, they can't have 0.6 of a litre. So, okay, so it's a bit of a tricky question. It's definitely not an easy one. So if I have a look at a similar one, is that okay? So I'll put this into the chat actually, so we can refer back to it. Let me just copy it. And then we can look at another one. So we'll look at one which is similar to that. Okay, so let's go to here. Here we go. We have this question, right? So we have an empty cylinder with radius 10 and height of 30. So let me just move this. So let me move that as well. Strange. We'll just leave it as 20. It's fine. Let me move it. Okay. Right. So we have an empty cylinder with radius 10, in this case, height of 20. So what we want to do is work out the volume of the cylinder. Okay. So the radius is still 10, as before. Okay. So first of all, how am I going to work out the area of the circle? So have a go at working out the area of the circle. And then we'll work out the volume of the cylinder, okay? So have a go at working out the area of that circle. Yeah, it would be 3.14 times 10 squared, okay? Don't forget the square, right? Pi r squared, that's the area. So we have 3.14 times 10 squared. So what would that be? What's that going to be again? That's 314, brilliant. And we want the volume. So volume is cross-sectional area times depth. So how am I going to work out the volume of that cylinder? Yeah, brilliant. You have to times it by the depth, making sure the units are the same, and they are. So we've got to do 314 times 20. So that's like doing 314 times 2 and sticking a 0 on. So have a go at doing that. 314 times 2 and then put the 0 on. So what will that work out to be? So we get 6,280 centimeters cubed. Brilliant. And then what we want to do is put it into litres. So what will 6,280 centimeters cubed be in litres? How would I change that into litres? So we divide it by 1,000, right? To change centimeters cubed into liters, you divide by 1,000. So the decimal, which is at the end, needs to go back 1, 2, 3 places. So we get 6.28. So the greatest whole number of liters is just going to be 6. Okay? And that's what we would have there. Because you can't have 0.28 of a litre in this question because they want whole number of litres. Brilliant. Okay, so there is another one here. I think what we'll do, these other questions I've made on this in this booklet here, we can do those. We'll do those next week. I'll print those off for us to do next week. There's a few more. So what I'm going to do now, Jane, I'll just cross out a couple of these. So we don't need number 16. So on Maths Watch, you don't need to do that one. Yeah, to be honest, right, we'll leave the rest of these for now, okay? So what I would say to you is, if I go on the Maths Watch, I'll just say, what would be good for you to do in terms of revision? I think we'll leave the rest of those questions. So just try everything up to there. If you want to try them, you can, except for the circle. But everything else we'll leave. So what we'll do, so that was the unit 1, right? So if you have a go at the unit 2, okay. Yeah, so you can have a go at the unit 2 questions with a calculator. So just try them. Not all of them are relevant, actually. So you're not going to need number 11, for example. So you can have a go at some of these ones. Have a go, and there's a Pythagoras question here. So have a go, and there's a tree diagram. It's all stuff that we've done, okay? So have a go at the unit 2 paper, okay? Because we've basically done most of the unit 1 stuff now. So if you want to finish filling in the unit 1, you can use the video of today and last time. And then the unit 2 paper, you can have a go, make a start with it. And then when we come back next week, we'll do the booklet that I've made here. Okay, so we'll do the booklet here, which is similar questions to unit 1, and then we'll do the same for the unit 2. Okay, and that'll be good revision ready for your exam. Okay. So have you got any questions now before we go, Jane, or anything else you want to go through? Okay, so just let me know if you're stuck with the unit 2 paper, okay? Just try as much of it as you can for next Wednesday. Just do your best on it, and then we'll carry on with some similar questions to what we've done Wednesday and Thursday, okay? All right, so have a nice weekend now, James. I'm sorry about all the fuss at the start, but have a really nice day, okay? Bye now.